What's up? Good morning. It's Thursday here. I'm sitting here with Johannes Hoevertsz. Johannes, it's a pleasure to have you. My name's James Gore. I'm a Sonoma County Supervisor. We call this little segment Explore with Gore, but the goal is just to talk about what's really happening in the county, not what some people think is happening or what you just read in the headlines, but what the heck's really happening. So, Johannes, I want to thank you for being here with us. You're a department head for what's called Sonoma Public Infrastructure, SPI.
That's correct. Thank you for having me, Supervisor Gore.
Johannes, before we get going, I say before we get going, we are already going. Let's go through this a little bit. I want to just kind of lay the stage. So first and foremost, Sonoma Public Infrastructure is, I'll just call it a super agency, because you came in and were originally the director of Transportation and Public Works, what we called TPW for a while, which was roads, bridges, a lot of our infrastructure, also landfill management, waste, airport, quite a few other divisions. We do small wastewater systems. So we worked a lot on the infrastructure side. But after you were in the position for, let's say, I can't even remember, maybe 3-4 years, we had another division called General Services, which took care of our county buildings and also our contracting, what we call procurement and things like that, our spend, how we utilize contracts and do things. And that General Services and Transportation and Public Works came together and we formed Voltron.
Public infrastructure.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Public infrastructure, Sonoma Public Infrastructure. Yeah. But before we get into the whole nitty gritty of that, I want to go back and just say it's kind of cool to sit here with you because your last name has more consonants than vowels, right?
Yeah.
You are Johannes Joseph Hoevertsz.
Correct.
That is a Dutch name for a man who also grew up in Puerto Rico.
Right.
And who is now the director of an agency in Sonoma County. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. My father is Dutch. His family moved to Aruba from the Netherlands, and my mom is Puerto Rican. So I grew up in Puerto Rico and Aruba. Actually, I just came back from Aruba from a family wedding, and we had the whole family. People flew from the Netherlands, from the U.S., and we met the whole family there, and it was awesome. So
how many cousins?
23 of 25 were there. Those were the only two missing in the entire family, which was awesome. We haven't done that in 23 years. So I grew up speaking Spanish, Papiamento, and then English. I learned English.
You speak Dutch as well?
I don't speak Dutch. I just know a few words to get by. But I spoke Papiamento with my family, and my family spoke to me.
Tell me something in Papiamento. Teach me something in Papiamento.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to say, how are you? Com tabay.
Com tabay.
And then you say, good, thank you. Bon danki.
Bon danki.
Bon danki.
So Papiamento is a mixture of what?
Papiamento is a mixture of Spanish, English, the Creole language that they had, Portuguese. Yeah. It's a mixture. I think those cover most of it, and Dutch as well.
So how does a guy who, Johannes Joseph Hoevertsz, Dutch, Puerto Rico, Aruba, ultimately come to Sonoma County via, let's say, Madera and Fresno counties?
Madera and Fresno. So I was the public works director in Madera when I left, and my brother was working in Santa Rosa. He's a chef. So he was working in retirement homes, and I used to come here, and visit him. And I liked it. And one day I was in Madera, and I got a recruitment flyer that showed public works deputy director recruitment for TPW. And I'm like, okay, this is super awesome. Yeah. And I applied for the job, and I was hired by your board. You were on the board where I was hired. Yeah. Susan Klassen was the director, and it's been an amazing ride.
How many years?
I'm running into 11 years now.
So let's go back to this. This is a crazy way to start this story now, not of your origin story, the origin story of Wolverine, a.k.a. Johannes. But let's get over to the work and the organization, because for people who don't know, I subscribe to a world where I say my real political party is the GSD party, the Get Stuff Done party. Because we're sitting here in local government, and local government has to get stuff done. This is not where you can just be bureaucracy. You have to deliver for people. It's potholes, it's permits, but it's also when a road or a bridge washes out, when there's a solution that's needed locally because we're now shipping all of our compost out to other places and losing money and causing issues. When it's time to get in and there's a disaster, an emergency, when we have rain or windstorms and it's littered with trees down, you're the crews that go out there and clean the way. We have to get stuff done in this position, especially the ones that you manage. So you being a real practitioner of GSD, I appreciate so much our partnership over this decade. But this started in a crazy way because, you came in and were the deputy director for a couple of years. But your first day on the job as the director was what day?
October 8th, 2017, the day of the Tubbs and Nuns fire.
So you started that morning, October 8th. It hit that night. That evening.
Yep.
We all woke up, to hell had arrived.
Yep.
The Diablo winds, which means the devil.
Yep.
Right. 100-mile-an-hour winds up on the peaks, coming out of the flatlands in Utah, Nevada, the desert winds. It was 90-plus degrees in San Francisco that night, and we lost 5,500-plus homes, 7,000 structures. But at the same time, all of our road structure, our partners with AT&T, Verizon, some of the grid had fallen, broadband was out in certain areas. So as much as we talk about the work we had to do with people, we have to get the infrastructure going and opened up so that emergency services can get out there. Can you just give us a glimpse of what it was like for you on that first day and for that first week?
So I was awoken by Karen Larkin at the time. She was the assistant. And she called me, and she put me in contact with the road maintenance guy, Steven Spacek. Mm-hmm. He's like, you need to come to Santa Rosa right now. The landscape has changed forever. Mm-hmm. Please come to the EOC.
What time was that?
This was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So I live in Cloverdale. I could smell smoke, but we didn't know what was going on. So I drove down here. I got a go bag that I had with me. And I came, and the freeway was closed. Coffee Park was burned. The Red Barn was burning, and I showed up to the EOC.
The EOC is an emergency operations center.
Operations center.
That's kind of supposed to be the hub
Yep.
where all of the department heads, all the relevant people, all the state, fed partners, everybody goes to at a time of incident management when things are hitting the fan.
When things happen.
Yeah.
So I showed up. We got working right away. The next day, Diva Proto swore me in as the county's road commissioner because there were decisions as road commissioner that I had to make and I was making. And that said a week of constant work. I think we worked long hours. I went home, took a shower, came right back. It was intense. But we did what we had to do to respond to that fire. Resiliency, we found out that our infrastructure needed to be resilient. And people say, well, what is it has to be able to withstand disruption and recover quickly. That's resiliency for me.
You're always going to get hit. You can't not get hit.
No.
Saying never again, I tell people after that moment, is not never again a fire. It's never again get caught in the way we did where we were not ready, where we were on our heels rather than our toes.
Right.
Organizationally, operationally.
Yeah. So we learned about those events. I mean, we had the fire engines from the airport coming out here and spreading water over the Luther Burbank chips because they were catching on fire on their landscape. I mean, we were all hands on deck. Our teams worked really good. We had guys that I had to sign vouchers to buy boots and uniforms because their homes had burned and they were helping us respond, which is amazing.
It is amazing.
So, I mean, it was an incredible community and team effort that we will never forget. And he built relationships up to this day. And you know what? It's amazing, Supervisor, that some of those people are no longer with us working in the department. We have lost some of that knowledge, and it's something that we need to continue to be prepared for whenever it happens again.
Well, this might sound crazy, but one of the things that you and I both deal with and agree upon is making sure that this government is an action-oriented government, not a bureaucracy that slides, but we rise up. And there's this old adage, which is never waste a crisis. And that's not to be opportunistic in a negative way, but it is to be opportunistic to say, it's our time to rise, let's roll. And that ethos and that energy, it even still gives me the hormigas, right? The chills to think about that. That's something that we have to stay close to, because as we know, as these systems, they start to atrophy, they start to get risk averse. And the only way that you can really solve problems is not to be afraid of doing good. So let's get into that a little bit, right? So, we have a whole story that we've talked about, which is around disaster management, resilience. I mean, sure, one of our stories is the rebuild, the response, the recovery, and then the rebuild after the 2017 fires. But then we also had all this resilience work that we did in between then and 2019, the Kincaid fire, where we really stepped up and had similar conditions and completely different results. No lives lost, hundreds rather than thousands of homes burnt down, evacuated 40% of our county. Then we also had, more fires, more floods, Walbridge, Glass, floods, historic windstorms. We've had all of these things. We had, I think this last year, a big part of your and I's work was 4 different areas where during the rains we had slides that were really, put people in rural communities. The roads fell off, West Side Road, West Soda Rock Road, ones in West County as well. We've just always been doing that work, but then we got to do the regular work also. So let's not talk about emergencies right now. Talk to me about, from your perspective, delivery each and every day. Talk about your department overview, and just give us 3 to 5 minutes on kind of what keeps you busy and what keeps you up.
So public infrastructure, one of the things that I'm most proud of the department as after we've merged and we've created a culture of there's no silos here. We're all in the same team. Let's figure out how to do it. And that goes for FAC ops, facilities and operations, road maintenance, capital projects, the road maintenance team, which is an awesome team. Working together with the purchasing division, with fleet, all working cohesively to get stuff done. So some of the biggest projects that I think are going to be really impactful for Sonoma is our bread and butter transportation projects. We have a bridge that we're trying to build in Cloverdale, the Asti Bridge. We have intersection improvement on Todd and Standish. That is a huge benefit for that intersection. And it's been a project that's been in the works for 20 plus years. Arnold Drive, which you're familiar, and Supervisor Gore was. So we're getting ready to go to construction next year. We have 2 roundabouts that we're building in Supervisor Rabbit's district. Those hardcore projects are going to be a benefit to Sonoma County for years to come. Yeah. And I like how the department can pivot, and we can pivot, brainstorm, use technology to solve problems. Yeah. And we're all part of that effort, and our team's all working together with the support of the board, of course. I've been able to do that. We have very visionary projects with the landfill expansion, the composting facilities, a mitigation bank, visionary projects that have never been done before that I think with the support of the board and our teams, we're going to get them done, and it's going to be a huge benefit for the community.
Well, and one of the difficulties of let me put this in a different way. The word bureaucracy is usually a negative word.
Correct.
The reason that oftentimes government becomes slow is because government inherently has to be risk averse. You can't have people stealing the public money, right? You can't be getting it out there flippantly and not having all the contracting. You have, ironically, government is the most regulated entity by government itself. Not only us internally, but our review panels, the state, the feds, all the requirements that we have. And so that creates a risk avoidance system that slows things down. It means you have legal review, to an extent that it almost kills you. You have procurement review that slows down. Like somebody told me recently, government can only work at the speed of procurement. Yeah. And so yet at the same time, we're always pushing to be active, to be innovative, to be entrepreneurial. And that does mean that sometimes we have to go out and we have to repair roads, and it costs $1 million or $2 million more than we thought initially. Right. It means that we have to fund the money or do something innovative. We have to really rebuild something. And infrastructure is not only great, but it's also extremely disruptive.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell people is like I get a lot of calls in my office that are about potholes and bad roads. But then once we pave those roads, I get a lot of calls from people who want speed bumps because people are driving too fast. So, I'll get Mark West Springs Road that'll go, good Lord, can you, please pave it. And then we pave it. And then I get thousands of calls from people who are like, this is disrupting my morning commute. I can't get my kids to school. Why do you do it at this time of the year? And it's because, because we pave in August and September when the outside temperature and the ground temperature is hot enough for it to happen. But it's just one of those things we just have to do.
Yeah.
For me, it's really important to understand that the world is complex. Like when you do a roundabout, sometimes the reason that it takes a lot of time is because there's all these utilities underneath the ground. You don't just take out and repave. You have water lines going. You sometimes have areas where a creek goes underneath and it's channelized underneath. Right. You have broadband. You have lines. You have you have all these things, and you have to move them, maneuver them. For you, what is still the most exciting thing about your job at this point?
The most exciting thing is to work with the team to solve problems, right? Mm-hmm. I've learned that early on, and I call this and I share this with my team. You have to learn the system to hack it. You have to measure.
You can't just come in and start throwing fists around.
You need to learn the system, right? And I was talking to Janice. I was talking to Janice yesterday.
Janice who?
Thompson, who is our retired deputy director, and she's awesome. I love working with Janice. So we're talking about there are some kind of people that the work that we do is hard, and we get nothing but loops that we have to jump, loopholes, and we gotta
hoops and loopholes.
Hoops and loops. So we got a hoop here, a loop here. So Janice is saying, when you see a hoop, you need to jump it. Mm-hmm. But you need to have people that jump the hoops after they learn the system.
Yeah.
If you start questioning, who put the hoop here? Mm-hmm. Why is the loop here? Why is the hoop red? What is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is a hoop. We have to jump it. And that is the result-based mentality that we're trying to have.
Well, let's give an example of that. Let's just that's a great metaphor, but let's say that's one of the things you've had to deal with all our disasters. Yeah. You recently came before us, and we have $39 million in disaster expenses that we are waiting to come in from FEMA and from other resources. But we have to do the projects because sometimes, the hoop that we have to consider is that if we go fix it before they give us the money, then they won't give us the money to fix it. So all of a sudden, these people are waiting on a road, on Moscow Road, for example, that Supervisor Hopkins was dealing with, and it's like it's in danger of life and property, but we got to spend the money and do it, and we have to go, right? So your job is not just dependent upon what we do locally. Your job is dependent upon state and federal resources and how they contract us and manage us, right?
Absolutely, and the regulators that we work with, right? So we have the hoop that we have to go through, get a project approved by FEMA. And then we have the loop of submitting, denial, and trying to justify everything we're doing. And in paperwork and most of the time that we work on projects, some of that is bearable. Yeah. But sometimes, and you remember this, in 2019, when things are actually happening on the ground, and you see the Russian River eating up River Road in Geyserville, and I work with the regulators, and I can see the road being eroded 15 feet of embankment every day, and we cannot do anything because we don't agree on how we're going to stop that. Yeah. And that's one of the coolest stories that I always remember in Sonoma County when I needed to make a decision, and I called you in Washington, and I explained to you the situation, and we took care of the problem.
Yeah, we took care of it.
We took care of it.
I mean, everybody's doing their job. Right. And that's, as you talked about, silos is, even though people are doing a good job within their silo, that creates oftentimes what you would call an ecosystem rather than an ecosystem of work. Because if you're not, so for instance, if we're losing a road, which could lose a bridge, and then we have to go in, and the solution would be hundreds of millions of dollars. We'd have to eminent domain property. We'd have to change the structure of a road. We'd have to go back and get a $60 million bridge and more money for Caltrans. And we're sitting here just trying to protect something. We go to a regulator, and their job is they don't want to give us an emergency permit unless we have a long-term plan. They say you should have taken a long-term plan. We said, we came to you with a long-term plan. They say, well, it wasn't approved. And we go back and we say, we have to do this for life and property. This is going to be an inclement, situation. But at the same time, then they'll say, yeah, but this isn't good for the water quality in the fish. And then we'll say, yeah, but how good is the water quality for if there's going to be the equivalent of 3,000 truckloads of dirt just spewing into the river? So we have great partners. We have great regulators, others, but we have to have those conversations outside of the silos, because if the silo persists, it kills us. Let's go on to kind of a little bit of a different style. Is that you've been in this position when there has been more money flooded into this agency than ever before, and I don't even know if there'll be the equivalent for the next 10 years, because we've had. We have the gas tax was implemented in California, which gives us, $40 million a year.
SB1.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. Yeah. But a ton of money that now is able to go into roads and into maintenance. The Board of Supervisors, we've worked with you to now be the top county out of 58 counties in California in terms of the general fund, our direct contribution into roads. It's now $16 million plus a year. So we're doing more roads, we're doing more maintenance than ever. But then through the fires and the floods, we've had hundreds of millions of dollars come in. That was on repair work, but even what I would call, next gen kind of infrastructure. So it's, that requires you to get the money out, get the projects out. So you're always under the duress of let's get the money, but then you get the money and it's let's spend the money. Let's get the projects out. Talk to me about some of the more innovative things that you've done. Talk to me about on the top of the mountain in Cloverdale. Talk to me about the array we have. Talk to me about some of the different things you've been able to do.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that you're absolutely correct. We are never going to have, on the ways we got it, I hope we never happen again.
Yeah, I don't want that.
But we're never going to have the amount of money that we had in the last 6-7 years to do the projects that we have. No. And we have consistently delivered the projects, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that came out of the fires and the flood is the need to have a communications hub for the community. Mm-hmm. In 2017, Supervisor, how I communicated with most of the team in road maintenance in Cloverdale was by texting, because the cell phones were down. And we didn't have radio equipment, no good coverage in the county. So I came to you at one point to ask for a request for funding for communications, not only for public infrastructure, but for the community. We have. The community couldn't talk to us. There's a tree in front of my house. So we started working on a communications infrastructure project for communities. This is not about Department of Emergency Management, fire, or police. This is about CERT, COPE, COAT.
CERT, COPE, COAT. CERT, Community Emergency Response Teams. COPE, Citizen Organizations Organized for Disaster. Citizen Patrol
for Emergencies.
And then the last one was COAD, Community Organizations Active in Disaster.
Exactly. So these are groups that are essential for responses, because we know them when the stuff hits the fan.
So you put up a big antenna.
We put up a 60-foot tower, and we have Pepperwood Preserve, we have GMRS radio, we have LoRa communications, we have fire cameras, AI fire cameras, and we are able to test technology and work with partners on what is the best GMRS system.
What does GMRS mean?
General Mobile Radio Service.
So these are the people who are ham radio operators or not?
Ham. They're not necessarily ham. They're general. It's a different type of frequency and radio, similar. And look, we have probably one of the best. We are working with Napa, with Mendocino, with Marin County, and other counties throughout the state that are learning from us on how we do it. We have that system has been working in Challenger for 5-6 years now, on solar batteries, solar power.
That's great.
With nothing. And every time we just did an emergency exercise in Cloverdale, I was at their EOC, and that was the main form of communication that CERT used.
Great.
So it's amazing.
So I want to take us into a couple other things. First and foremost, there's been a lot of news about our county buildings over the last, I'd say 10 years. This isn't a new issue. It's, you and not you as a person, but this agency has been managing properties that in large part have suffered from what we call deferred maintenance in government, which means a lack of upkeep, a lack of investment over the years. And so what happens is your assets become liabilities at the same time. So, you'll do a report and a study and you'll say, oh, the county, let me give an example. Like county buildings have $600+ million in deferred maintenance, which means cost that you can quantify that are like, oh, we need to fix this roof, or we need to just repair this, or we need to get a completely new building because the backup in the sewer and this needs to be redone, or this building isn't retrofitted for earthquake preparedness and we got to do that, or we got to get the emergency operations center into a better spot. So all of these needs. So let's say deferred maintenance, $600 million. Let's say even more than that, the needs are upwards of $1 billion in terms of, which is crazy to use the word billion. Yep. I'm just going to use it though and say that these are hundreds of millions, if not more, in vital infrastructure, not just for employees, but operation centers, areas that manage water systems and response and, everything that we manage as the infrastructure of Sonoma County. So for me, we have also this world where, okay, we have to rebuild a county complex here. We've been buying buildings because buildings that you're able to buy in the community versus build because of commercial prices dropping. We've been able to buy stuff at $300, $400, $500 a square foot instead of building it at $1,000 plus per square foot. Right. Sometimes that's controversial. People don't want us to spend money on buildings, but then we also have like our whole permitting department that's in an area where the sewer and other issues aren't viable long-term. So we're like regulating people's sewer and sewage at the same time that we're in an office that doesn't have that. Talk to me about the portfolio of our buildings and where we're at and where we're going.
Yeah, so we have an aging asset infrastructure. Our buildings were built in probably the early 60s, late 50s, and early 60s. So they don't meet the current seismic standards. They're aging and they need to be replaced. So we have been used to, and this is really, we've been conditioned and used to being in old buildings, overcrowded buildings, with not enough room to meet and we've gotten used to that. The new plan is to have employees in modern facilities where we have meeting space, and we feel good about going to work, and we have light. And one of the ironies of the county campus is that we have a room that is called the sunroom that doesn't have a window.
Yeah.
So that's how we thought.
It's got a window. I went and checked it out the other day, but it's what they call frosted window.
Frosted, yeah.
So it looks like it's a haze into like a apocalyptic future.
So we are finding out that we can do better if we
there ain't no sun in the sunroom.
Yeah, it's better when we buy financially and when we do tenant improvements. And Brickway Campus is one of the best examples of that. We're super proud of that, and we're going to continue to work on that project. But I think it's changing the mindset. When we moved to the 400 Aviation building, we had a 2-day working from home policy, right? People are coming to work every day now because they love going to work. They love, the environment. They love working with others and meeting and stuff. COVID, did a lot of damage to.
So we have the Brickway buildings over by the airport that we purchased. We currently, it's still in negotiations and around. We're not going to get into the details of 400 Aviation, but we still have that occupied by our staff, and that's on a long-term lease and a potential purchase. We have here on the county complex, a lot of people call this a vestige to the 1960s when this was pasture land and a couple buildings with a bunch of parking area. And so nothing's up. And then Santa Rosa is built around it, so there's a need to build up. We have plans on this property to build a county government center, and also to use part of it as a private incentive for people to come in and build housing or other kinds of offices and commercial. So it's mixed use. It's not just a government campus, but it's other things. And you've gone through and tracked with us as a board, because we as a board have changed plans multiple times too, because it's scary when you see price tags that are in the not just 10, but $40 million a year with debt service. So this is a big portfolio. We're not completely clear on where it's going, but we are better than we were, because we've been making transactions. And I want to thank you for your work. So let's put that aside and talk about community infrastructure. You also manage kind of authority or like ownership, not more I'd call it stewardship over our veterans centers, buildings throughout the county. And we have one in Cloverdale where you live that we've made improvements to consistently. Like we've worked with them, even the pool that's adjacent to it, with solar and heating, but also the roof, a generator, backup generator, because your job is to have these facilities also be able to be utilized during emergencies and other things like that. And we really need a big investment into our veteran centers, don't we?
Yes, we have.
Because these are community centers. Let's say
they are community centers.
The stewardship is that they really, they are for the veterans. They were created and they're for the vets. And yet they also serve as a community hub.
Absolutely. And we have been working, and the veterans love working with the community. So we have been working in Petaluma and Sebastopol, Sonoma, and Cloverdale, and Santa Rosa heavily. In Petaluma, we did a big seismic retrofit. Our goal is to make them resilient. We need to make their kitchens are really, really important. So permit their kitchens.
Commercial
in Cloverdale,
kitchens,
we're doing commercial kitchens. We're doing all that in Cloverdale now. A backup battery system, a generator, so they can become shelters when necessary throughout the county.
That's great. So you are an unabashed dork when it comes to technology. I say that with admiration.
Yeah, thank you.
I love. Show us what you got on your hand first of all.
So
look at what do you got there? Is that something for a bad hand?
I have a 3D printed bracket because I work with my phone all the time. So rather than having it on my pinky, I have. This
is what I'm saying.
So 3D printer. So in the department we have 3D printers. We are big on artificial intelligence, and we have drones. Drones help us calculate the quantities after we have a slide of the material that we're going to offload or import, export or import. So we use technology to make our lives easier and work faster and respond faster.
Well, I also love that you don't just have drones; you like to fly the drones, right? You love to get in there. I feel like you were the kid who also in an engineer, you didn't just like have the rockets who went up, you got really into it. Like, how do I build the rocket? How do I build the plane that then I fly and other things?
We have about...
You like to figure out how things work, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You like to know the system before you hack the system.
Before you hack it. Learn it before you hack it. We have about 7 or 8 drone pilots in the department. They fly every day. They measure settlement of landfills. They all kinds of really cool stuff. 3D topos, topographic maps of, we are on technology really, really high. And I'm a drone pilot. I also have the ham license, and I have the GMRS license, because you have to learn the system to hack it and live in it.
So on that note, you talked about AI. One of the things that we're all looking at in counties or in government or in private industry or in our personal lives is how to utilize AI effectively, but how to also not let it turn us into Skynet and Terminator and lose to the machines. Tell me how you use AI and how you see that evolving into your work in the coming years.
So we've been using AI now in the department for about 4 years. And I use it on a daily basis on responses, on analysis, analyzing data. OpenAI, we're using also Anthropic Claude. And we see incredible value and issues that we
Anthropic, I had a friend recently suggest I use it to help create kind of dashboards and models, not just answer questions, inflow and outflow, but more the development of using it to create a tool that I could use for other things.
That is exactly, we're doing that with OpenAI, and we're analyzing the landfill impacts when we expand for the next 75 years with multiple parameters, investment, revenue, settlement, One of our guys in the office, Glenn, he's been doing amazing work. But you're right, that when you see it on a dashboard, it's incredible. And we're using it on fire cameras, for example, how to detect smoke.
So that somebody doesn't sit there and have to look and move a camera around, but it's detecting smoke, and then it also notifies you. Then it also is analyzing. I mean, some of these are response systems. We still say AI, and there's generative AI where it's reviewing things and it's cued to respond under certain circumstances. You know, the whole idea of generative AI with this stuff is that it actually determines its own response rather than responds to cues in many ways, right?
Yeah.
So, you use it for analysis. You use it for data coupling and
quick designs.
Yeah.
Like if we need a roundabout, we put a Google map, ask OpenAI to give us a quick design.
And then you make sure that that's all peer reviewed by staff and by engineers and everything like that. So, I mean, it's because there's one of these worlds where I think people think like AI is going to take my job, even as a county employee.
Yeah,
but we're always going to need our engineers in the county to be able to justify and proof everything.
Yeah,
and
I don't see that happening.
But we also need more people to not just do what I would call rote, everyday, normal work, like data analytics and just being spreadsheet warriors.
Yep.
And we need those individuals. We need people that can go do community outreach and go connect with folks and figure out design concepts that integrate more. We need that creative stuff that humans can do more.
One of the things that I think we pride ourselves is how we connect with the community.
Yeah,
because one of the things that the community, and you know, this is a preconception that we don't know what they're going through because we don't live in their community. Mm-hmm. So we go out to the community. We meet with them. I go meet with the community on Saturdays and Sundays.
You do it all the time. You do a great job of that.
Because I want them to realize that we're not here just making decisions and not considering the impacts on what it's going to have on the community. So I think an AI is never going to replace that. Yeah. Right. So that's really important for us.
You know, I had a shoulder surgery about maybe 9 days ago. Just to clean up, like a little, fix some stuff and do things as you get older. And I was waiting for my follow-up appointment, which is going to be early next week with my doctor. And he said, hey, everything went good. But then he also published, on my health online, a report of the surgery. And I took that report from the surgery and I copied it and I pasted it into a chat bot. And then I said, explain this in layman's terms.
Yep.
And obviously, I always have a certain amount of discretion and am I going to trust whatever it comes out is going to say this? But I will tell you that it was fantastic to read that because I would not understand a damn thing. Yep. I'm not trying to be a surgeon. I'm not trying to do it, but it really, really was fascinating to just tell something to translate this and bring it down to a level that I could understand.
Yeah,
that's the kind of stuff that for me is really important because as much as we talk about translating across languages, you and I started, I speak Italian, Spanish, English. I can dabble in Yoruba, in Amharic, Guarani, what else? Quechua, right? Indigenous languages and others. Piemontese, a dialect in northern Italy. You speak way more languages better than me. But the reality is that oftentimes what people don't realize is that within the same language, like English, we talk over and under each other all the time. Yeah. Your reports, like even if we translate them to a different language, nobody would understand what the hell it means. Yeah. So I want to thank you for your innovation and your flow. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other big projects that are out there and then wind this together because the work never ends. The big thing about your portfolio is that, there's always going to be another pothole. Yep. There's always going to be another culvert. There's always going to be another bridge. Yep. It's always going to need retrofit. So first and foremost, I'm going to kind of go through a couple things. So composting. So years ago, we used to use our landfill. We had something called Sonoma Compost. Your green bin would go up there. We're going to talk about this in another podcast coming up, but just real quickly at the airport, what project are we pursuing?
We're pursuing a composting facility at the airport, and it's a really, really slick system that is covered. It doesn't have the same issues that we had with runoff when it rains. Yep. I mean, it's fascinating. I can get into it and the material time and all that, but I'll do that with Leslie. But it's fascinating.
Yeah. So we also have this year, you repaired 4 bridges or 4 roads that slid out, right?
Correct.
For this budget, we're coming back and we have one of our biggest things that we have to plug the hole on the budget is on the roads and all of the reimbursements from FEMA that we have not gotten, right? So we're bringing back this budget an option to fund about $20 million in things to continue the investments that we've made. You, how many culverts are there out here in these roads that you manage?
So we have, I think the last count we had, it was like 10,000 culverts right under it. And
that's where the water goes through a pipe underneath your road.
And drainage is really, really important. And we started including drainage on pavement preservation projects. Yeah. And if you remember,
why pave a road without fixing the water going underneath the road?
And we had to go after the steel plates. Remember that? We have one of the goals that we had, no more steel plates in the county. And because sometimes we have to wait 2 years to replace a culvert on permits.
Yeah. So think about that. Your roads crew, you might think, why can't they get this done? Why are there steel plates across the road instead of fixing the pipe underneath? But anytime water touches a ditch in California, it's regulated for what you spray in that ditch, how you manage it, what sediment comes out of it. And it's the same for private landowners. Yeah. Okay, let's go into some more. How many miles of roads do we have in Sonoma County?
We have 1,369 miles of maintained roads.
Let's see here. In Fresno County, where you used to be the director of this portfolio, how many miles did you have there?
3,500 miles.
3,500 miles.
It's the largest maintained mileage system in California, in Fresno County.
You're currently the president of something called SEAC. Tell us what that is.
I'm the president of the California Engineers Association of Counties.
You call yourself CLOGS, right?
CLODS, yeah, CLODS. After you go through the chairs, you may become a CLOD.
Which is?
It's a...
This is acronym hell that we're working through.
It's something of Gentlemen of California.
California League.
Dedicated Loyal Order or something like that.
Yeah. You guys at your annual banquet bring out toilets and serve food out of them.
Chili.
Why?
It's a tradition that they have. They serve salad out of trash bags, and they pick them up with gloves. And the tradition is to have a toilet bowl. Is new every time we go to a jurisdiction with chili and sausages on it.
Yeah. What else do you eat there?
A barbecue, chicken, tri-tip, everything. No, I
don't. Kind of going through and thinking in my mind, right? We've retrofitted Little Wohler Bridge. We have Big Wohler Bridge. We have the Asti Bridge, which we continue to work on. We're waiting for $4 million in a potential grant. Sonoma County Transit is managed underneath you, which is the bus system that goes throughout the county. We're always trying to have our fleet be as green and clean as possible. Right. And electrification. What are some things that you want to leave us with? You have, I could go through a litany list of all through, but there's this crazy potpourri of so much work. Maybe you can start and we'll finish our segment. But before we started, you said that you manage projects, you manage initiatives, but you also have to manage egos.
Expectations and egos.
So, and that's from all sides. That's external partners, that's community members, that's internal people who wonder why this has to move faster, why it doesn't go through the required review. Tell me what's on your mind these days.
I think that we have how to manage the expectations and egos. By the way, I did a minor in psychology when I was going to school because I knew engineering. We need to work with people. People are the core of what we do, and that's why we do what we do.
There's a lot of engineers that don't translate.
There's a lot,
and there's huge numbers that do. But it's how do you be technical and transformational? How do you be down in the weeds, but also high level enough to be able to communicate?
Absolutely. So I want to make sure that we have this transition, that we've been on disaster projects, and now we transition to regular transportation, regular bread and butter projects, buildings. And I want to continue that and show the value that we bring and continue to work with the community, continue to get input on what we do, because I think the community will understand when we go to them and we explain what we want to do and why we're doing what we're doing. And like one of the projects you mentioned, why are we closing West Side Road? It failed. Why are we closing Big Waller when that is happening? You know, and how do we make decisions? We know that it's going to impact the community, but long term, the benefits are immense. And we don't like to close roads, just so you know.
No.
We love to have all the roads open. Our guys, it's like a pride thing for our guys. The road needs to be open, but it also needs to be safe.
Yeah.
And that's important. So we want to continue to do the work that we do.
So we're sitting here now that I know you're a part-time psychiatrist, psychologist, marriage and family therapist. What advice do you have for me?
I think you're having a great time. I think I worked with you for almost 11 years now. I like how you like to get stuff done. I like how you have your family involved. I know your kid. He's been to the drone sessions when we go out in the fairs and stuff. So do what you like. I think you're having a lot of fun and stay in contact.
Yeah.
You live in Hillsburg. I live in Cloverdale.
Yeah.
I love to continue to work with you.
Life is good.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to know that this is a department where you could think of it as the one that is almost nameless and personless, but it's not. One thing that Johannes is very much known for, and the members of his team, are getting out to look at the washout with you, communicating with you, working with a point person on West Soda Rock Road and sending out weekly updates on when we're going to get that road back opened and if we're going to close it down at a time when they can't ship out the grapes that need to be harvested at a time because it fell during the winter. Or coming and meeting with us on the top of a mountain with professional or private or amateur radio operators who are all totally stoked and geeked out about the interoperability of this new telemetry antenna tower system that we've put up and how they can be a part of it and not just government as a part of it. I really, really appreciate your ability with your team to problem solve, to lean in and get dirty because you have to do that. You can't sit behind, and ultimately to deliver because for me, if we're not delivering, then, we're failing. So, and it's not really about cutting the ribbons. It's more about, the reason you go out and you celebrate is so you can remind yourself how it feels when you complete something. Absolutely. And that's a challenge for what's next. Yep. So onward and upward. Thank you for joining us, Johannes Joseph Hoevertsz. Right?
Thank you.
Grazie tantissimo. Un placer estar aquí contigo hoy día.
Gracias.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Thank you.